else there? Norm in there?
No.
Okay. It's 6:31. Calling our meeting to order. It's Federal Finance Committee meeting. Representatives Dean Schindrott, Fritchie, Gardner, Pulaski, and Powers are present. Representative Norman and Umbris are excused at the moment. They can be here if they can get here. Tonight's business is we have 3 items on our agenda. Let's go. Representative Pulaski, if you would mind reading. Sure.
My tablet has died and I'm
Well,
having the signal.
The first one is 3.1 is 2025-635-4. It's a bond ordinance for design and construction of the Groton athletic fields.
Resolution adopting the ordinance appropriating $14,380,000 for the design and construction of Groton athletic fields. Resolved that the Groton Town Council adopts the ordinance appropriating $14,380,000 for the design and construction of the Groton athletic fields, consisting of athletic field improvements, primarily at Fitch High School, and if funds are remaining from said appropriation, allow such funds to be used at Sutton Park, Groton Middle School, and the former Chester Elementary School, and authorizing the issue of bonds and notes in the same amount to finance said appropriation. And be it further resolved that the first sentence of Section 1 of the ordinance be revised to read, Section 1, that the sum of $14,380,000 is appropriated for costs relating to design and construction of athletic field improvements, primarily at Fitch High School, and if funds are remaining from said appropriation, allow such funds to be used at Sutton Park Middle School and the former Chester Elementary School without project. And be it further resolved that the ordinance is recommended to the representative town committee per Rule 6.5.3, and be it further resolved that in accordance with Section 5.5.6.2 of the town charter directs the notice of adoption of the aforesaid ordinance contains a description of the ordinance prepared by the town attorney in lieu of the complete text of the ordinance. Do we have the complete text? Yeah, what bothers me is that this sort of isn't directed to the RTM, it's directed to the council.
This is what they do.
That's
Yeah,
what
that's
they
what
always,
I
they
mean.
always take what the council just
Right,
transmitted.
but
Yeah.
we can't change that, right? To read properly for the RTM.
I have the ordinance someplace. I thought we all got a copy of it.
I probably did.
It's also in the main packet
Correct.
on page 10 and 11.
Okay.
It's just 2 pages.
Could I ask you to move this?
Yes.
So moved, yes, second.
Okay. Do you have any discussion about it other than what we just discussed?
I just make a couple comments.
Yes, Jeff.
Just to point out, typically when RTM sees an ordinance, you're just not vetoing it. But this is an actual, requires RTM approval, the majority of the RTM. Yes, this is not a veto type situation. Just so you're aware of that. Now, hopefully you've been following along some on what's been going on with the athletic fields. Council is committed to go into referendum pending approval of RTM. Of course, there's a couple more steps in council, but November 4th referendum on that ballot would be the question as to whether to spend the $14 million to redo primarily the football stadium, track, that facility at the high school, and there is some restrooms right there, as well as the parking lot and driveway. So that would be phase 1. It's a 15-year bond payoff. Tentatively looking, our finance person has it down as estimating it being at 3.63% interest rate on the bonding. Now potentially there'll be later years of projects, but
The initial one.
this is the initial. This is the only one we're looking at right now.
I think that was the whole project was what, 60 million or something, John, over 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Previously.
Yes. it's right around that amount. Right.
Give or
4
take.
phases.
Right, 4 phases.
Yeah. Now, of course, a future council could say, let's just do 2 through 4 one phase. You know, it's all up to.
Correct.
Like say no.
Right, yeah, it's all how we proceed.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a question?
Right, hey, John, is this replacing existing facilities?
Totally getting rid of all that, replacing it. Yes.
It's gonna be completely.
Yes. Yes.
That's why it's such a big number.
Yes. Because it's so out of date there.
We're gonna read this. And then
Is it gonna be comfortable seats? Are we getting?
Yeah, it'll be ADA compliant. It'll be very comfortable. It'll be a nice stadium.
Do we have any demand from the residents who would follow soccer games on there, or whatever they're doing? You know, what's the participation? Like, parents in there, are they active? I mean, are you talking hundreds of people?
Probably hundreds of people. We've heard from an awful lot during this whole process the last couple of years. There's a lot of engaged parents on this issue wanting this.
I got
It's the most I've ever
communication
seen
from
anybody engage. This is the topic I've seen the most engagement in my time here.
We're like Friday night playing down in Texas, you know,
Yeah.
where stadium's completely full. Is that correct? Or
It does pretty well.
We have more of a modest.
I imagine we'll do even better with a nicer stadium. But also, the council's looking at turf fields. You can have band competitions on the field, you know, all kinds of things.
It's a much more diversified field. than
Right.
just a
We get a lot of use out of it.
Right,
Besides
it's
football.
multiple sports. And if you looked at the real concept that we had before we built the school, the Merritt property was gonna house a central field and 4 other adjacent fields around it. So this has been ongoing for many
Long time.
years. Like this goes all the way back to when I first came on the RTM. So it's been discussed multiple times to the public about it.
Yeah, and the
And
stadium,
now we're finally proceeding with something, so it's good, yes.
and the stands are not EDA compliant. They're
They have to
of
be
a dangerous
upgraded.
older
Correct. The
construction.
bench, yeah, they're just the steel bench seats, and they gotta go. They're not lined up, you know, it's just crazy what you have to do and what the costs are for just any kind of athletic renovation.
Having played tennis on the tennis courts up there, I tell you, it's almost impossible because the wind was so strong.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that they could do something to fix that. Was that ever done? Is it repaired now where they have the green?
I'm not sure. That's not part of this part right here.
It
Yeah.
isn't, they're not, is the tennis, is there a tennis team?
I'm not sure if there is or not. I'm not sure. That hasn't been part of this project, the tennis courts.
No,
Yeah.
I just was, maybe that was already done. All right, I have to feel like it's a heck of a lot of money, $14 million, and it's going to be spent over, what, 3 years or something?
Yeah, in terms of it'll be likely one bond issuance, could be 2. But yeah, it'll be construction over hopefully just 2 years or 3 years at the most.
But it's not being 2 different batches of $13 million each.
No.
It's just the total is 14 and with 2 million batches of work.
Right.
And town council was at 100% approval.
I'm trying to think if there was one that
I
was.
thought there was one.
I think there was one
Just
against. Yeah.
Yeah, 1%.
I actually, when I saw the 14 million, I hope everybody probably had the same reaction. That's a lot of money. It's a lot. It's what is it, 20%, 15 to 20% of the education budget, you know, in total, you know, so it's for one year. That's spread over 5
That's
years.
yeah.
It's not part of the
So-
education budget though,
Yeah,
Alex.
but it's
No,
still
but
a
it's
lot
just
of money.
size.
When we fought over 2 million, 1 million, 500,000 for education.
Yeah, it does.
It may be a little bit tough to swallow, but I assume that there's support for it, so.
I have a
Representative Gardner, you have a question?
Yes, I do, thank you. Town Manager Burt, I understand the need for this work to be done. It's my first term in the RTM, and I've heard a lot about the athletic fields. And I don't have a child in school here, so that tells you something. What I would like to know is, what is the risk level financially for the town with this bonding? Do you see it as a low-risk bond?
Very low. This is not a very big bond. And matter of fact, if you look at what our current bonding, it's tapering downward, it's gonna be not far off from an offset. Obviously, you can spend money elsewhere, but generally speaking, it's not much impact.
Yeah, I felt the need to ask that because of the times we live in and, some financial uncertainty going on at all levels. But as long as it's low risk, as you say it is, I can definitely support it.
Representative Dean Schiffman, any questions for Manager Burke?
No questions for me. Oh, sorry. Scare everybody if they see that face.
Thank you. Okay, do we have another question?
Yeah,
Representative Pulaski.
is there any reason that we couldn't wait one more year on this, given the uncertainty of our times and our difficulty with funding basic things like our school budget? Because it's so unclear just what we are going to get and what's going to be our situation.
That
Is
was,
it a good thing?
that was an often debated topic at the council, and there was such overwhelming support for people showing that, at this baby, the most people we've had show up for any topic wanting it. So it was decided, let the public decide whether they want this or
Okay,
not.
so this just goes to a referendum.
Yes, yes.
And if the public decides this is a bad idea,
Then we can't
then
go
then it goes forward, all right.
Let's not go
Does
forward.
On that basis, I'm okay with that. But myself, I wouldn't invest the money that way at this time. So I will vote in November.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
I
Aye.
I said aye.
Okay, so that's 5-0 to 0. Okay, we're on to our next item of business, which is Gardner to read into the record resolution, please. Nuclear Safety Emergency Performance Grant. It's 2025-6-671.
Resolution authorizing acceptance of the Nuclear Safety Emergency Program grant. Whereas the town of Groton Police Department has applied for and received $100,000 in pool funding from the State of Connecticut Nuclear Safety Emergency Program, NSEP, and whereas this funding will be used for electronic equipment upgrades for our current Emergency Operations Center, and whereas remaining grant funds will be applied to EMD and deputy EMD salaries and drill supplies, now therefore be it resolved, the town council authorizes town manager John Burt to execute any and all documents and to perform all acts and things deemed necessary or appropriate to carry out the terms of the grant program, to accept the grant in the amount of $100,000 and to refer the item to the RTM per Rule 6.5.3. So moved.
Do I have a second? Sure. Thank you. Have any discussion for Manager Burt on this grant?
And just to mention, this is an annual one. It's a typical one we get every year. We plan on offsetting our emergency management payroll approximately roughly half of this money goes towards that, which we plan on. The other half this year is upgrading our emergency operations center.
No matching funds required.
No matching funds.
Just, is there any chance that is it a federal grant or a state?
No,
grant?
it's a state grant.
Okay, so the grant is stable.
Yeah, it is stable, yes.
Representative Dean Schiffman, any questions?
I'm good, thank you.
Representative Fritz?
I'm not allowed to think.
Any questions?
No, I thought she said, I'm just thinking. Oh,
Okay. Seeing no questions, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. You. Now we're on to the last one. Do you want to read this in? Do you have this?
no, you do. This is,
Just the resolution, please. Yeah.
You do not need to, well, you don't particularly need to read the resolution since it's informational purposes only. There's no action needed by the RTM on this.
this one.
No,
Next one.
no, that's the app one.
You don't.
This one, this is the one.
You don't need to read
He
it.
doesn't want it, so
Yeah.
that's fine.
This is just relaying what the council
I'm
did.
really a good.
Oh, I know, I am too, but I don't like to read.
And Corinne was just gonna talk, she'll give a full presentation.
so
on this, and
I'll do it
so you
this
just get a couple notes on it.
Our last subject of business is 2025-521, it's the selection of project conceptual and development team for the former Pleasant Valley School. How do I say your last name?
Piazza.
Piazza. Corinne's gonna give us an update on where we are with that preferred developer, is what I believe.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And John, you just want me to work from this slide?
Yeah, we only have like 5 minutes.
Okay, so it's very high level. The town has a property disposition process. We've been moving through the phases. We're now in that third phase where the town council has selected a preferred development partner and project concept based on the objectives that they asked the RFP responses to hit. The project concept that's been selected, or excuse me, the team is Spinnaker Real Estate Partners, and the concept is essentially a suburban walkable village with much needed housing at varied income levels, including proposed market rate and affordable workforce housing, natural area preservation, and publicly accessible recreation space, provided with an overarching objective of placemaking and community building. So once we get to RTM, I'll walk folks through how the town council selected their objectives, arrived at this development partner, and then what's next. And I think the most important part as well is we're only at the concept selection phase. We're now moving into the actual negotiation of terms. So we only have that concept level right now. And then what the town council is doing is selecting a partner that we will then move through the rest of the technical process with design, engineering, permitting, all of those types of steps. So that's essentially where we are now. It also went through a pretty extensive public engagement process to arrive at this decision. And again, I'll talk about some of the features in the RTM meeting. So I'll just stop there.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
I do.
Okay.
I just keeping up with what you were saying. There were things I was looking at and asking questions about and losing what you were saying. So maybe this is repeated. But how many units are there?
Roughly 300. And once they get through permitting, they'll know exactly, but that's this.
So it's going
That's
to
about,
be
that's about the same number as Triton Square.
okay. Now, and I assume it's parking, but is it the same kind of thing with a rental deal where the rates were $2,000 to $3,500 on Triton, whatever it's
Oh,
called?
you mean for the rental units
Yeah,
themselves?
yeah.
They haven't determined yet, but it will be a mix of market rate and affordable. And so the next step we're getting into in negotiating those terms, affordability will be a component, and it will largely be based on also the funding they receive. So if they're going for CHAPA funding, that helps kind of determine where that price range lands. So we don't have a range currently about what they are, but it would be market rate and including some affordable. Does that answer your question?
Let me try and understand this. Once it's built and it's turned over, like to Triton, towns out of it, correct?
That's a great question, and that comes down to the step we're in now. So we have a lot of teeth and a lot of control in the deal. So
A lot of teeth
yeah,
into being able to
The
control
town
that.
has-
We'll have provisions in an agreement that are binding.
Okay,
yes. So
but if they don't get the rentals?
They're gonna get the rentals.
yeah, they will, and also that's what that purchase and sale agreement is for. Is we get to say, you know, we own the land. Here's all the terms you have to meet in order to get it. So we have a lot of control that goes into that next step, so that we make sure what is built is based on what the town council asked them to do.
Yeah. So is it going to become a place if when Electric Boat decides to go down and not stop building the Columbia and the Virginia class when to equal the ending of the Trident class and the 688 class if you were here, but back when I was there. So,
Right.
you know, and all of a sudden the employment went from 25,000 down to 7,500, and now we're trying to build it back up. And a lot of that's happened over in London and so forth. And I look at all this and say, what, you know, I have my doubts about what's going to happen in the
Right.
future.
Right. Well, that's a
And
whole nother
China
thing.
and Russia.
Can I say something, please? I'd like to say something, because I am in part of this, is part of my life, what I do for a living. So to understand the market, you have to understand supply and demand when it comes to any of this stuff, okay?
Yeah.
So if there's more units available, the market rate is gonna go down. It's not gonna go up. So when we look at what's going on in the area that's around us, we did a 10-year study that said we had 6,500 units short of people in our community. All forms of housing, okay? So when we look at the overall picture, we can't look out 10 years into the future. Nobody can. We can't tell you what EV is gonna do, what Pfizer's gonna do, what the sub-base is gonna do. We have no idea. All we can do is build units to meet the needs of the community, and that's what we're doing here. This is why these people are here doing what we're doing. We're taking our tax base and we're keeping it level for residential owners by adding to the market with projects that are giving us a tax base that are a good revenue to keep us in line with what we're supposed to do. So when we look at asking Corinne what's gonna happen, we're not gonna have an answer. There's only so much that the town council can do and the developer can do to do their build outs and to go forward with the project.
The forecasts that we've seen in the past always sort of forget the changes that are occurring rapidly in this town. Like, for example, we used to be around 40,000 people in Groton. Now we're down to what, 34,000? 38, but we went down below that, correct?
But I think that's largely because of the
And
lack
that
of
was
housing.
possibly an exodus of the kids out of this area, who went to school, went to college, went to work somewhere else. And the number of kids that families that are making them kids has gone way down from my generation and the generation I came from. The point I'm making is the generation I came from, and I'm 74 as of October. Okay, and I get 10 years, maybe 15, if I'm lucky. And that's going to be true for 70 million people across the country. And that's a huge number for Groton, and that's going to create opportunities for people to grow into that they, don't have now. Because the parents aren't, the kids may move out, but the parents are staying here. They like this place. They did, at least until they converted Mystic over to something else. But my point is this: are you accounting for the possibility of a constant change in the housing of senior citizens?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a whole nother unit going in next to my house out for another 275
Is that
units.
that fair view
That's
thing?
exactly right.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
permitted for that. And you
And
want
that's
to talk
not
about
enough.
rent expenses?
That's not
You want to
enough.
talk about rent expenses? Those things are gonna be out of sight price wise.
Yeah.
So,
Those range 500,000 to 1.1 million.
correct. So, I mean, and we're, that's just for the 18 units that they're gonna put up. That's not for the other 273 units that they're gonna house for $3,000 or $4,000 a month for people to live in.
Okay, but
And the amenities that go with it, so.
I think in general, like, I hear you're saying that there's fluctuations, but the population and the demand in general isn't not just from EV. And as seniors age out, yes, that may open some housing, but part of the reason that the population does go down is that there isn't enough for what people want here. We need to expand that in order for that demand to be
that's what
met.
the state and everybody else is saying too. We gotta have all of these housing units, and we've got plenty of extra land in eastern Connecticut.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Steve, but then we have to wrap up in the next minute or so. Could we let her give her presentation in the main room and then we can
Yeah,
extend? And
that's
John
fine.
Meyer has some things he wants to say then.
I want to ask Representative.
Can I just ask a quick question? On the public open space, how are we going to maintain control of that?
That'll be part of the agreement, we'll dictate how that works. It'll be a
Okay.
legally binding agreement,
Okay, as long as it's binding, works for me. Thank you.
Sorry, Susan, the idea is that it will be available in perpetuity as well as with
Yeah,
public access.
yeah, maybe like a permanent easement potentially on the land.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna take a vote because we gotta move on here. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
yes, I'm gonna be the opposed.
And it should be just,
Yes or no?
Expansion.
and it should be to support, not to approve.
Yep.
But we'll go into detail of the room.
That's it. Okay. Thank you. We're adjourning our meeting and I'll see you next door.
See you in a few.